Got it?
I do.
Yeah!
All right, guys, so we're going to start note 17.3 today. This is just a review of 17.1 and 2, so we're just going to kind of go through it pretty quick. The first one says, find the measure of angle ABC. That would be this angle right here. The arc it intercepts is this arc right here. And I know everything else except for that piece. So I can take 360, I can subtract 130 and 120, and then I get that arc length is 110 degrees. Now, an inscribed angle is half of its intercepted arc, so 110 divided by 2 gives us the measure of angle ABC, which is 55 degrees. So pretty easy one there. Inscribed angles are half their intercepted arc. This one's a little more complicated if you let it be. It's really the same problem. It says find the value of x, y, and z. So it wants the value of these three arcs. Just go ahead and label them out here. The only thing it tells us that this angle right here is 80 degrees. But if I trace that angle, I see that it intercepts, whoops, I don't know how that happened. It intercepts this arc. Well, I know that this is half of that arc, so x must be 160 degrees. Now I need to find y and z, but I know something about them. These marks right here mean that these two chords are congruent, which means that their arcs are also congruent. So I need to take 360 and subtract the arc I know, and I get that there's 200 degrees left for the other two arcs, but they're equal, so if I divide by 2, I get that each of those is 100 degrees. So let's see, that used inscribed angles and something we learned a while ago that said if you have congruent arcs, that there are congruent chords, that their arcs are congruent as well. Let's look at this next one. This one should be pretty easy. Now you can think of this two ways. We learned in the last chapter that if you have a triangle whose base is a diameter, that it's always going to have to be 90 degrees if it's on the circle. But you also know that we have this inscribed angle and its arc is half a circle. So either way we want to cut it, we know that's 90 degrees. So I know that since it's a triangle, these two have to add up to 90 degrees to make it 180 total. 2x plus 2x is 4x. 1 minus 3 will be negative 2, and that's going to equal 90. I can clean that up and say that's 4x equals 92. When you do that, you should get, when you divide by 4, you should get x is equal to 23. Now you can obviously plug that back in. If you do, you should get a sum of 90. Let's go to the next page. You got a few more. Example number 4. It wants us to find angle 1 and angle 2, and it only gives us a few pieces here, but it does help us out on a couple of things. It says that this, our chord is congruent to this chord, which means I know how long this arc is. It's 105 degrees. Now I can find this last arc. If I do 360 minus 105 minus 105 minus 75, I can find out this other arc, which I believe is 75 degrees. Now, that didn't really help us as far as our answers go. They wanted to know angle 1 and angle 2, so I'm going to put those down there. But let's see, they're inscribed angles. It may be tough to see, but look at angle 1. It's inscribed, and the arc that it cuts is 75 degrees. So that means it's half of 75. Half of 75 will be 37.5 degrees. Let's look at angle 2. Angle 2 is also an inscribed angle, and strangely enough, it cuts off the exact same arc as angle 1, which means it's the same degree, 37.5 degrees. This next one's probably the easiest one. We've got an angle here. It looks like I've got a secant and a tangent, and they tell us that that arc length is 140. So this is just like the inscribed angles. This angle is half of the intercepted arc, so our answer is 70 degrees, or just 70, that would be okay. Let's look at these last two. This one, I have two chords intersecting inside a circle, and I know already from vertical angles that this is 80 degrees. But this is something people are having trouble on. To find these two angles, you add you take the sum of the arcs and divide it by 2. So in our case, 110 plus x divided by 2 should equal 80. I can multiply both sides by 2. That cancels this one out and leaves me with 110 plus x. 80 times 2 is 160. And then all we have to do is subtract 110 from both sides. And it looks like x is 50, or 50 degrees. So not too bad. It looked like some people were having troubles, but remember, multiply by 2, clear that fraction. Now, here's where people get kind of mixed up. This is not the same. The one up here, this is atom and divided by 2. This is the one where we have to subtract. We want to subtract the big arc, or so you want to take the big arc minus the small arc and divide it by 2. That gives you this. So I have to find this arc right here before I can finish the problem. This appears to be a diameter because it's going through the center of a circle. So there should be 180 total degrees here. So 180 minus 110 minus 45 should give me that angle. I got it to be 25. Now, big minus small, 45 minus 25 divided by 2. That'll give us our answer. 45 minus 25 is 20 over 2, which means our answer is 10 degrees. So, guys, those notes are all review. Some of the classes I won't be here on Friday, so if you have any questions, we can talk about them. But we do have a quiz coming up. So let me know if you have any troubles, and good luck.